2, 1. Hi, I'm Joe McPhee, and this is the Manitoba Baseball Hall of Fame inductee profiles. And my guest is Al Robertson. Al was born in 1939. He was an excellent player, coach, administrator for the Manitoba Senior Baseball League. He was the batting champion in 1967 when he hit .395. He was on the MSBL All-Star team 12 times. He was the MSBL president from 1982 to 1984. He was the MBA Coach of the Year in 1985. He was the MBA president in 1970-71 and is a member of the Manitoba Baseball Honor Society since 1988. He batted .482 for Team Canada at the 1967 Pan Am Games. In 1985, he was named Western Manitoba Sportsman of the Year. He's a member of the Manitoba Sports Hall of Fame since 1997, and he was inducted into the Manitoba Baseball Hall of Fame in 2000. Welcome, Al.
Thank you, Joe. Nice to be here.
Thanks. Now, tell me about your beginnings in baseball. Where did you grow up, and how did you start playing ball?
Well, I grew up in Oak River. At that time, there was very little organized ball around, but my dad was very, very interested in baseball, and he got me interested, and we played a lot right on the farm itself, and then I got playing some minor ball in Oak River, and I think it was about age 14 that I started playing some intermediate ball with the Oak River team. Following that, I started, they had a couple of coaches in Hamiota that I really wanted to play for, Murray Richardson being the first, and then Gladwin Scott and Frank McKinnon. So most of my organized minor baseball was played in Hamiota, and we enjoyed a lot of success in those young teams in Hamiota.
Okay, great. So you've made a lifelong career in Hamiota since then, have you?
Yes, my wife and I moved to Souris. We taught in Souris for 1 year, and 2 summers I was hired as baseball coach and sports director in Souris. But other than that, my total baseball career was based out of Hamiota.
Okay. And you would have been playing during the 60s when Hamiota was the capital of baseball, just about, for Manitoba?
Yes, I started playing senior ball in Hamiota in 1957, and in the early years, in 57, 58, 59, 60, we basically were a tournament team, and we played an awful lot of tournaments through western Manitoba and eastern Saskatchewan, and with a great deal of success, I might add, that we were largely young farm boys and school teachers is what our team was comprised of, and so we basically had the summer off, and we went out, and we would play 3 or 4, sometimes 5 tournaments in a week. It's much different than it is now. Mm-hmm. Every small town had a tournament.
Right. Okay, and then the MSBL was formed in 1961.
Yes, I wasn't managing Hamiota. I was still fairly young then in 61, but I was at the organizational meeting. I went there with Lauren Caldwell, and who was another native Hamiotan, and we got the senior league organized, and the senior league took off immediately. It was a very, very good good league. Not very many teams. There were 5 or 6 teams initially, but the teams were very strong, and again, our team had a lot of success. Winning the first 4 pennants, I guess, and 3 of the 4 years we were league champions, and right through to probably about 1967. That's when some of our younger guys started to move away and so on.
Right. And 67 was the year that I believe was Canada's first national team that went to the Pan Am Games, and you were a part of that.
Yes, I was part of the team in 1967. We played the Pan American Games in Winnipeg, and that was a real thrill for me. And then again, I got selected in 1971 to go to the Pan American Games in Cali, Colombia. And those were two experiences certainly I'll never forget. And at the same time, in 1970 and 71, I was president of the Manitoba Baseball Association. So I was starting to dabble in both still playing and administration at that time.
Good. And your playing career took you up until?
I played until about 1975. I didn't play a lot after 73, but I did play some in 74 and 75, and then I became manager of the Hamyota Red Sox, and I managed them till I guess 1981, and then in 81, 82, and 83 I was president of the Manitoba Senior League, so I was not manager of the Red Sox. But after I was done my 3 years of league president, I went back and I managed the Red Sox then, right through until 1999.
Oh.
So.
Okay. Good. So must be some differences you've seen in baseball over the years then.
Yes, I've seen a lot of differences. It's kind of interesting. Like we, of course, when I was playing, used wooden bats, and then they went to the aluminum bats, and now they're back, I see, to the wooden bats. I really liked the aluminum bats. I thought they added a lot to baseball.
All batters do.
Yeah. And I think fans do, too. I think fans like to see home runs, and they were a lot easier to come by with aluminum than the wood bats. But no, I've seen a lot of changes. The league initially, there were no imports in it, and Hamyota was one team. Hamyota and Riverside probably were the two teams. Well, and Brandon Cloverleaf too. They were teams that stuck a long time without imports, but slowly they, because of declining populations and so on, you had to go to the imports. I never felt the imports were a bad thing in the league. However, I thought that a lot of fans really enjoyed seeing the imports, and I know we were very fortunate in having what I would term very, very excellent imports in Hamyota. The one I remember in particular, Donatus Salinas, in the 1 year he was here, I think it was 1987. His pitching record was 13-0, and that was in a 20-game schedule, so he was very dominant. But no, I was really sorry to see the end of the Hamyota Red Sox. The team based largely with local young players, and probably the best team I ever managed would have been in 1988, 89. 87, 88, 89. Those 3 years, we just had some outstanding young players, and it was a tremendous team. But then I decided I had enough of managing at that level, and I retired after the 89 season.
Now, when you did play, what was your main position?
Well, I guess my main position would have been second base. I started at third base, but the main place I played was second base. And actually, my main claim to fame was my hitting, not my fielding. But,
okay, now we listed a couple of high batting averages. So were you a high average hitter rather than a power hitter, or were you a combination, or did you draw a lot of walks? Or?
No, mainly a high average hitter. I was not really. I would get 4 or 5 home runs a year, but that was it. But it was my average that I think I went something like maybe 7 or 8 years over 300. And, the pitching was pretty tough then, so I was pleased with that.
That was with the wooden bat, was it? Or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what position in the batting order would you normally hit then?
Usually third or fourth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's usually power position.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, 5 I always felt was a power position. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And how about speed?
So I wasn't real fast. But,
No.
fast enough. I could steal bases and that, but. Mainly, I think you steal on the pitcher, not on the catcher, and I got a lot of pitchers figured out and was able to steal.
Yeah. Was stealing and speed a big part of the game back in the 60s?
Oh yes,
Yes.
But we had some very, very good catchers in league too, so it was tough.
tough to steal.
Yeah.
What about the ballparks in those days? Is there?
The ballparks were adequate. I don't think they're certainly Hamyutta Park wasn't as nice then as it is now, but it was quite adequate.
Yeah.
And to start with, we didn't have an outfield fence, so if you could get a good line drive in between the left fielder and the center fielder, or the center fielder and the right fielder, many times it would go for a home run because there was no fence to stop it. And but we had a very, very fast outfield at that time, and it probably was to our advantage of not having a fence, but we finally put up a fence in about 1966.
Okay. Good. All right. So now, what about equipment? Your gloves, did you use one of those little gloves that sort of flat that nobody would use today? Is that a difference in the fielding, you think?
Well, I was lucky. My dad always saw to it that I had good equipment, and I really never played with one of those flat, small gloves. I always had an infielder's glove and a very good infielder's glove, so that wasn't a factor as far as I was concerned. That wasn't why I made a few errors.
Okay. And as a manager, what was your philosophy?
My philosophy as a manager was to really, really work hard, play very aggressive, a lot of, not so much bunting, but a lot of hit and run and a lot of stealing. And mind you, we had a team that was made up of guys that could really run too, so it might have been different if I hadn't had those. We didn't have a lot of power hitters. But they were singles, doubles hitters, and a lot of speed in the base paths. And we tried to play a very aggressive style. We tried to score a lot of runs, and we usually were quite successful in that.
Good. Okay, so what do you do now in retirement?
Oh, in retirement, I do a lot of golfing. I do some curling, and my wife and I do a lot of traveling.
Do you watch any baseball?
I watch some. I have to say I haven't kept up with the senior league. I watch some on TV, but I'm more interested probably in doing things myself, like golfing, and rather than spectator sport. But I still enjoy a good ball game. There's no question about that.
Did you ever do any scouting for?
Not in baseball.
No.
No,
okay.
my son did, but I didn't do any scouting.
Good. Okay. And you do have. You did have any brothers that played ball or any other?
Well, I had one brother. He's retired in Cape Cod, and he did play some baseball when he was around, but he left at an early age because he went on to university and then that. And I have a sister that lives in St. Catharines, but no, mainly it was my own family, my wife and our 2 sons and 2 daughters that did a lot of baseball and fastball.
Good. Well, thank you very much, Al.
Okay.
This has been Joe McPhee for Manitoba Baseball Hall of Fame inductee profiles. And my guest has been Al Robertson.
Thank you.